The Backrooms. Anger behind the wheel is no way to heal. Level 238. Road Rage. This road will be paved with your own blood. Survival difficulty. Class hunting grounds. Major violence. Imminent dangers. No safe locations. Level 228 is a sprawling, interconnected network of roads and highways, inviting drivers to explore its many pathways. No matter what happens, stay calm. Losing your temper in this godforsaken place can have brutal and devastating consequences. Description: Image caption: Traffic is a nightmare. I can't believe how congested these roads are and how furious people are driving. Level 238, commonly known as road rage, is a labyrinthian web of overlapping roads and highways, raised above the ground in an intricate and dizzying pattern. These roads traverse vast lands, winding through forests and plains, skirting oceans and deserts, passing the silhouettes of structures and other scenery that shapes the rest of the landscape. Level 238's highways are a majestic spectacle, stretching out in all directions as far as the eye can see, paved with asphalt and boasting 5-lane roads. Footnote: Although it is a rare sight, some highways can be seen touting an impressive 10 to 15-lane road stretching far and wide. End footnote. These highways are crammed with various automobiles. Footnote: Countless vehicles exist, ranging from cars, trucks, convertibles, minivans, jeeps, and coupes. A vast array, to be sure. End footnote. All stuck in an everlasting traffic jam. The air is overwhelmed with the sound of honking horns and frustrated drivers, their cries of anguish echoing throughout this gridlock. Adding to this chaos, an unknown light source in the sky beats down mercilessly, its rays reflecting off of the metal of the vehicles, creating a blinding glare as they gradually inch their way forward. The peculiar light that illuminates the sky of level 238 is not of natural origin, a cold, soulless fluorescence that is more reminiscent of a hospital than the sun or moon. Not a single ray of warmth or comfort is permitted to penetrate this desolate place, imbuing it with a deep, oppressive sense of dread and loneliness that can be felt by all who enter. For those traversing the streets of level 238, there is always the assurance of knowing that their journey is in the capable and experienced hands of adult facelings, including a few familiar faces from the front rooms as the drivers. With their watchful and unwavering guidance, these individuals ensure that the other vehicles make their way safely through the harsh and complex terrain of the highways. Level 238 is constantly engulfed in a torrential thunderstorm with relentless downpours of rain or hail battering the dense, misty landscape. The air is alive with the sound of intermittent claps of thunder and blinding flashes of veined lightning. The surface trembles beneath, absorbing the full impact of the ever-present hellscape of this tempest. This raging thunderstorm is utterly suffocating, with its sweltering temperature. Footnote: 106 degrees Fahrenheit / 41.1 degrees Celsius. End footnote. Threatening to envelop anything in the oppressive misery of its wrath. The raindrops that fall on level 238 are twice as large as those in the front rooms, drenching every vehicle within the deluge. Despite the presumably perpetual rainfall, the highways remain in a surprisingly dry state, leaving one's surroundings a hazy blur outside the windows of their automobile. The car wipers furiously struggle against the torrential downpour, but the blur and rain remain steadfastly affixed to the windshield, denying their attempts to clean it. Entry: Upon arriving, footnote, typically with one's head bowed in supplication and resting against the unforgiving steel of the car's wheel, end footnote, in level 238, 1. Footnote: If the wanderer traveled with a group of 3 or fewer people, they will all be within the same car, end footnote, will be jolted awake inside of a car, enveloped by a chaotic sea of traffic, with engines roaring and horns blaring in a cacophony of noises. The headlights of other cars glare on, gleaming like thousands of eyes, with the brake lights flickering periodically, reminiscent of a firefly's glow. As the incessant noise of neighboring automobiles washes over one, realizing that they are now stuck with no escape and no relief from the ever growing noise incites an unspeakable amount of panic and fear. The feeling of utter boredom and despair that one can experience while stuck in this eternal traffic jam can be overwhelming. Time stands still as the minutes wear on, and one can only sit idly by, watching the seconds tick by gradually, seemingly with no end in sight. The frustration builds as the minutes turn into hours, and the vehicles remain in their unyielding gridlock, leaving the individual feeling helpless and trapped. The car itself will remain in timeless, pristine condition, not a single flaw present. The engine and gears work with perfect precision, moving as though they are brand new and completely unused. Although all of the controls are a detail perfect replica of existing automobiles in the front rooms, the brakes and steering wheel are stubbornly immovable, unyielding to any attempts to steer or stop the car within the traffic jam. The survival rate for each individual is strongly dependent on the supplies found in one's car. Supplies commonly found in one's car include, but are not limited to, a spare tire, a first aid kit, a toolkit, a car jack, and other emergency items. Some foodstuffs that can be found are typically non perishables, such as energy bars, canned food, dried fruits, nuts, granola bars, and almond water. Furthermore, useful objects like fire salt, royal rations, greasy marshmallows, or knives can be found inside the vehicle. However, this is exceedingly rare. It is highly advisable to not disembark from one's vehicle, for all who have ventured to do so have vanished without a trace. However, if one does find themselves in the unfortunate situation of exiting the automobile, it is strongly recommended to remain as close as possible to avoid venturing too far from safety. Entering the vehicles of other drivers is not only discouraged, it is a perilous endeavor. Stepping into the domain of another motorist's automobile can be seen as a trespass, and can result in dire consequences. Such an action should not be taken lightly, and those who do so should be aware that the danger they face is real, and the potential outcome could be tragic. The road rage. As patience wanes and frustrations mount, the desire to press the horn button on one's automobile intensifies, becoming almost irresistible. The fright of the blaring sound of the horn cutting through the air echoes in one's mind, and the temptation to let out a single, angry cry of frustration grows even stronger. While one reaches the border of their psychological limits, they will find themselves screaming out obscenities at the other motorists, desperately attempting to shift the blame for the congested traffic onto them. The emotions boil over, the tension of being stuck in the gridlock rising to an almost unbearable level, becoming an overwhelming and awkward situation for all involved. As patience dwindles completely, one is driven to the brink of insanity, relentlessly pounding the horn button in a desperate attempt to silence the world around them, leaving nothing but the sound of their own automobile. This sudden silence that can then fill an individual with paranoia, as their mind races to find a source for the stillness that has suddenly filled the air. Uncertainty and unease creep in, and the individual begins to question if something inexplicable is happening, or if their anxiety has taken over. In the wake of this sudden silence, the roads will suddenly come alive again, as all the vehicles start moving in their own individual directions, gradually erasing the traffic jam as if it had never happened. The relief one may feel when using the car horn is fleeting, soon replaced by remorse and regret at having unleashed such a cacophony of fury. Image caption: Here I stand, the victim of my own fate and the cause of my own road rage. Despite the serene atmosphere of the highway, one must remain ever vigilant for any other vehicles that may come their way, for it could very well end in a devastating and catastrophic car accident. Hence, all motorists must be cautious and take all essential measures to safeguard one's well-being and the safety of those in their vicinity. As one's car careens down the now peaceful 5-lane highway for approximately 10 minutes without any collisions, the sound of their accelerating engine is suddenly drowned out by a chorus of honking horns and the roar of engines from behind. Furious at one's display of road rage, the other drivers are quickly catching up, determined to make their anger known. The sound of imminent danger is in the air, and the race to escape has just begun. If this dark eventually ever comes to pass, one must be prepared to fight for their very life, for the other enraged drivers will seek to take it from them, through murderous intent and or the power of multiple bullets. These relentless pursuers will never capitulate in their case, refusing to break away from their quarry until their victim has been extinguished from existence. Even the slightest bit of hope for respite is shattered in the aftermath of their incessant pursuit, leaving behind nothing but a trail of despair, destruction, and blood in their wake. Faced with a deadly confrontation, one may choose to take up arms and wield an object or knife, placing their very life in danger as they engage in a life or death struggle with the opposing drivers. Such a fateful encounter may be fraught with peril, and the consequences of one's decision will be dire. Yet, it may be the only option one has to survive the situation. As the fate of the car lies in the hands of the intrepid wanderer, the moment of reckoning has finally come. It is now up to them to make the wheels move and bring the car to life, whatever the cost. With bullets whizzing past and assassins lurking in the shadows, the individual must use all their courage, strength, and cunning to stay alive. The highways, now a treacherous enemy, will bear down on the hapless wanderer in retribution for their display of road rage. The once smooth and comfortable roads will be transformed into unpaved tracks, uneven pathways, and jagged crossroads. As one navigates this perilous terrain, they will confront a multitude of obstacles, ranging from deep potholes to jutting rocks and boulders. It is a journey that will test the mettle of even the most experienced souls, and one that will require determination and energy to survive. This quote unquote road rage occurrence can only be ceased if the other infuriated motorists lose sight of the Wanderer's car, and, with it, their chance of escape. After this, one's car will speed along the highways for approximately 10 minutes before coming to an abrupt halt in yet another traffic jam, trapping them in a seemingly endless cycle of frustration and delay. Entities. Although no ordinary creatures exist in level 238, the level is inhabited by a select few exclusive entities. The elite entities that exist in this level are believed to possess immense power and indomitable strength, having evolved to thrive in the level's harsh environment. Carnivores. Image caption: a picture of an active, fearsome carnivore. The photographer, now presumed to be dead, was the unfortunate victim of its merciless hunt. Reveal entity classification. Concord Entity Classification System. Entity ID 238 A. Habitats. Level 238. Indexed Entity Threat Score. Danger 4. Intelligence D-. Class Itemic. Properties: mechanized, subservient, aggressive. Though these entities are scarcely seen on the highways of level 238, carnivores appear to be regular and average cars from the front rooms. They are fearsome beasts, prowling the streets with a hunger that cannot be satiated. When wanderers first catch sight of these sinister entities, they will appear to be motionless, shrouded in darkness, with no headlights in sight, their presence hidden within the mist like a ghostly apparition. Furthermore, from their state of inactivity, they will reassemble a dilapidated, corroding automobile, a machine in complete disrepair. When individuals are distant from the place where they first beheld the carnivore, these creatures will awaken, headlights illuminating like eyes, their eroding rust disappearing. The carnivore will then pursue the wanderer's automobile, racing at velocities of up to 275 miles per hour. This relentless entity will rip through the air with a savage and ferocious fervor, determined to catch its prey. As these entities draw near to the Wanderer's vehicle, the carnivore will suddenly roll down its window, revealing a human-like arm that reaches out, violently grasping for the door handle of the individual's car. The wanderer's heart pounds as they grasp the door handle, feeling the faintest hint of a stranger's touch. In a split second, the individual must decide whether to lock the car door and protect themselves, or take the risk of using a knife or any other weapon to repel the carnivore's hand from their automobile. Time is of the utmost importance for the wanderer, for if they do not act quickly, the carnivore's grip will tighten around them, squeezing the life out of them until the individual succumbs to their tragic end. After this, the carnivore's merciless hand will snatch the lifeless body of its victim, dragging it into the vehicle, where it will be forever lost from sight. Bases, outposts, and communities. Despite the potential for a base or settlement to be established along the highways, the unforgivable nature and hostile environment of Level 238 renders such a feat an impossibility, a daunting challenge that is insurmountable even by the bravest of souls. Entrances and exits. Entrances. If one happens to slumber within the confines of any automobile on levels 9, the suburbs, 11, the endless city, 50, the moribund highway, 69, the road trip of affliction, 80, Cogshin Highway, 125, Legacy Lane, 207, Interdebris, 215, Harborside View, or 360, Halls of Past Screams, they will find themselves suddenly awakened in level 238. Exits. Occasionally, amid a heated road rage incident, one who abandons their car may suddenly find themselves slipping into unconsciousness, only to awaken in the level from which they came from, as if their entire experience had been nothing more than a fleeting illusion.